Okay, welcome, great souls. Namaste to you all. Always great to be here and share the yoga practice in so many ways in the Hatha way here in about a few minutes. But as we've been working with the yamas, the ethical principles of yoga, we're on number 4, and it's called Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya. And just to let you know, like any type of philosophy, there's many translations to each one of these, and you can certainly explore and research these on your own and find translations that speak to you. So what is Brahmacharya? Brahmacharya is, I love it, it's Brahma, if we broke it down, is God, or you can translate to goddess or essential truth, higher nature. But in the Indian philosophy, it's God. And Charya is walking with God. So walking with God, goddess, essential truth. Wonderful. It's a wonderful feeling to do that. What gets in the way of that? That's what Brahmacharya is pointing to. So we're looking at taking out the excess without excess. That's another translation. Buddhists would call it moderation, okay? Not overindulging. And we all know what it's like to eat too much, to sleep too much, to work too hard. All of that deadens, right, the life force. It takes the energy away. So we want to shift to a sense of balance and wholeness and sacredness in all of our actions and all of our activities. That's the ideal. And to approach life with joy, which is the joy kosha. I do want to recommend this wonderful book, Awakening Joy. I have a friend of mine who invited me to be her joy buddy, and we're going through the book together, and it's got really just wonderful. It's by James Bazara and Shoshana Alexander. I could put that on the email when I send it to you. But I'll be using, I try to bring in joy as an intention all the time because that's the yoga practice. But this can help us in the idea of walking with the divine, with joy that we're cultivating. We're looking for moments of joy. We're getting that neuroscience to our brain to anticipate that, to look for that in everyday experiences, okay? Because we know, so many things about life at this stage in our life. For many of us, the things that we thought were going to do it for us, maybe did, but not quite, we get things we don't want, we get things we do want. And it's about meeting life daily, moment to moment, and in being with what is and looking for those moments of joy. Okay, so gratitude could be another way to express this, and not to be in excess. Now, a whole more ancient teaching that many modern people, like when they hear this, they kind of clench, would be celibacy. I'm not going to get into a big thing about that, but in a monastic lifestyle, people choose to not go into relationship or sexuality, all the energy and the time, the commitments, that relationships, I think are very important as teaching tools, but certain beings have come and decided that they want to give their life to God without all the distractions, if you will, all the pleasures. So there is a piece when you hear Brahmacharya traditionally about celibacy. What I want to point to in modern householder life is, for most of us, maybe we can appreciate short periods of time of self-reflection, containing our energy. We're going to work with that today, and that's always part of the yoga practice is revitalizing our chakras, revitalizing our energy, noticing where the energy is like going way out too much, and then how we want to bring it back. And then there's many practices how we can share that in a beautiful way. So you know, that's kind of all I want to say about that domain, because it's a big one, and I'm not living that lifestyle, so I don't really feel like on that aspect of the celibacy part can speak to that. Other people that are doing that can speak to that in ashrams and whatnot. Okay, but we can certainly honor the fidelity in our relationships for sure, and contain that energy. So Brahmacharya, let's do it. Let's go into our yoga practice with walking with God, Goddess, the essential truth, whatever you term that. And we're going to do what's called a prana mudra. So I'm going to step back a little bit, starting out. And having all your props by your side. And this is a great one, because what the hands are going to do, the hands are going to emulate the movement of the breath. So sitting comfortably on for most of us, that will be on a blanket or several blankets. And first, we're just going to exhale through the mouth, soften the shoulders. And then the hands are going to just capture the movement of the breath. On the inhale, drawing the energy up through the chakras, through the central channel, above the crown. And then on the exhale, either through the nose or the mouth, I'm going to go through the nostrils. The energy is coming back down the spine. And you can just probably start to really feel that energetic and physical component. We'll do this several rounds at your pace. Inhaling. Feeling the energy rising. And then the palms down as you exhale. Finding your flow, which will be different than my pace of breathing. Inhaling. Prana mudra. Working with the breath, prana. And the hand movement, mudra. Do two more. Feel that expansion. I can feel the expansion as I move from the heart to the crown, above the head. You may want to bring the arms up higher. And then take a moment, rooting, grounding in the physicality of the earth, first chakra. One more time, Prana mudra. Hear that oceanic sound. Okay. Bring the other foot in front. We're going to add Hakini mudra to that same type of mudra we just did, but notice the effect when the fingertips come together and the thumbs as well. We'll just do a couple of these, okay? So feel as you press into the base, the tips of the fingers and the thumb as the energy draws up above the crown. And as it exhale, the energy draws down. Now from the heart, we turn the fingertips to point toward the earth. It can even touch the earth. Just take a moment at the end of your exhale and just feel that rooting, grounding that happens there. And then we start to draw the energy up at the heart center. The fingers turn upward, up to the crown chakra. Okay. And the energy, of course, goes way beyond the crown chakra, but when we do this Hakini mudra, we're balancing the energy. It's called the cup, the root, from the root chakra, the first chakra, root down, feel the physicality of the earth supporting you. And the energy, containing your energy, rebalancing your energy through the central channel, not letting it dissipate all over the place. And the expansion of higher consciousness, walking with the divine. Just take a moment here and either classic namaste or an eagle heart mudra. And feeling the effect of that practice Just feel the currents of energy with your hands, with prana mudra, and adding more activation with the tips of the fingers and thumbs. Okay, you can keep the legs where they are, or you can switch again. And what we're going to do here is we want to do some container. You can keep your hands in the Hakini Mudra if you want, or you can place your hands on the knees. And I really want you to get into the core. Let's do about 6 or 7 of these in one direction. Starting the flow process here. The energy contained and flowing, right? We want both. Right. See how that feels to you to work with a Hakini Mudra? And then we'll go in the other direction if you like your hands better on above the knees. But again, really activating the core and the chest, the swirling prana, flowing energy. That's good. Flow and containment, both. The banks of a river. Okay, now notice the effect, and you decide if you want to bring the other foot in front to be here just for one more of these warm-ups. Back to Hakini Mudra, but more of a focus now with the upper body. Of course, the hips are still moving, but think of swirling more your chest and your shoulders as a focus. If it helps to exhale through the mouth, release breath, go ahead and do that. If this is too much on your shoulders, of course, you can go back to the hands on the knees. Always make it work for you, the various poses. Okay. And then we go in the opposite direction, especially awakening the heart, the upper chakras. When all the chakras, they do open in our yoga practice. But with Brahmacharya, we're really working with walking with God, Goddess, essential truth. Essential truth is within us, especially the upper chakras. And the lower chakras are more about our physicality existence, wants, needs, desires, all those things, important. It's all, we're here, we're learning. We're reaching behind us. We're lifting up the chest. If your neck's okay, we're letting the head go back. Maybe bringing the lower lip above the upper lip, stretching through the throat chakra, breathing in through the nostrils. Three to 5 breaths here. Slowly releasing the lower lip, and then, let's see, you're joining us, I believe. Let's take a twist and keep the chin parallel, the opposite hand to me, the other hand behind you as you twist. Great. Yes. You got it. Just allowing that twist. If you want to ease back, you're welcome to a couple times. That's one of his favorite spots there in the garden. And then opening up the wings of joy and the heart center, the back of the heart, palms face forward, and then twisting to the other side. And then exhale as you twist. So this could be a moment of joy with our animal friends. Nature, the sunlight coming through the trees, the branches of the trees, and then back to center again, stretching out. All right, let's get the lower legs involved. Let's shake it out a bit. Shake. I'll turn to the side so you can see this. And a little bit of different of a Paschimottanasana. So this is more of a moving rather than staying in the pose longer, we will stay in the pose longer. But again, working with flow and Hakini Mudra. We're going to come forward with the arms, peel the toes back, and then stretch back. Come forward. We'll do this 3 times before we hold in Paschimottanasana. Heart extending out and then coming back, balancing the energy. Inhale, stretching up. You can use a strap if you like. Exhale, coming forward, hinging at the hips. If the hands can touch the knees, the shin, or use the strap. Lifting the heart on the inhale, and then exhale, rounded spine, folding inward, yin phase. Yin poses are wonderful to forward bends, lengthening the exhale, to restore that overdoing energy. We come back to balance. Every exhale, seeing where you can let go a little bit deeper. Recharging the essential chakras, the 7 main ones. We have a lot of minor chakras, but relaxing and casting aside any that unnecessary mental burdens. Feel the difference of staying here longer as opposed to the shorter flow series. It's all flow, vinyasa flow. Inhale, lift the heart, lift the chest, elongate the spine, sweep the arms up. And then exhale, feel the space all around you. Okay, we're going to bend the knees. And we're going to do our cat series, but then, well, you'll see as we go along, we'll add on to it. Okay, so having a blanket for your knees, knees underneath the hips, wrists underneath the shoulders. You know this one. We have, Cindy was out here a moment ago, as a lot of the yoga poses, as we know, are emulated after animals. So we inhale, we scoop out the low, mid, upper back, high gaze up. And then, of course, the exhale and the rounding. Drawing in. You can ease back toward your heels more. Get a little more stretch there. And then inhale, scoop out, low, mid, upper back. And exhale, round. Folding in. Back of the neck spacious, tucking the chin to the hollow throat. Okay, one more. Inhale before we add on. And the classic cat, inner elbows forward if you can. Exhale, round. Take it pull back into the sides of the exhale. All right, neutral spine. We'll do those opposites. So good for our brain, left, right hemispheres of the brain. Drawing the right knee toward the left elbow, we can touch, and then we extend straight out. Dynamic extension, and then folding in. We'll do 3 of these. And stretch out. Thoughts and energy rise upward and touch the sky, the energy, the plants, the connection to joy, letting that hand come down, swaying side to side with the hips. If you want to do a full circle and flow, you're welcome always to add that. As we go to the other side, stabilize first, And then we'll draw the right elbow to the left knee, and you got it, extend out. Dynamic. Try not to turn the hip to the side, but square to the floor. Go in. Extend out, rising. See what you can, you're looking out in front, seeing what is out in front of you. Looking for those moments of joy, sensing into that, the joy kosha. And then bringing the hand down and then going in the other direction with the hips if you're choosing to flow. Right. And we'll get into our full body stretch, our downward facing dog. So when you're ready, hover those knees, open through the 4 points of the hands, and pour back. Magnetize the chest, for the thighs, bring out the heels, let the blood flow to the brain, stay with it, and as you draw in calmness, radiates through every cell of my body, every fiber of my being. Calmness radiates through every cell of my body, every fiber of my being. All right. And then we come into our front plank, strength pose, don't collapse belly or head. You can have a blanket there or not. Bring one forearm down, then the other. Keep strong. Really make that exhale louder. And then come on top of the knees, unfurl the toes, add the Sphinx pose. We've been working with this one. Lengthening up, legs engaged. And then we're going to exhale and round, mini round. Tucking the chin to the hollow of the throat. Inhale, pulse it up one more time. Rising upward to meet the opportunities of this day. To see what comes about through this day. Open to it. And recharging the spine. One more time. Now here, I'm going to purposely do a half bow, but not lift the leg up because we're still warming up, and this is a wonderful quad stretch. So what it looks like is the right arm comes forward, the left forearm in front, and we're coming down onto our forehead, spiritual eye, and seeing if you can grab that foot. If not, use your strap to lasso the foot, or maybe even you can even hang out. We're just stretching the quad here. Now you can lift the upper body if you're wanting more of a back bend, but we're not yet lifting the leg off the ground, the thigh off the ground. We're just stretching to the quad. We're breathing in with the head down or the head up. And opening the top of the thigh. Keep active to that opposite leg, the left leg. Don't let it get too passive. And release. Swimming that arm forward. The right forearm. This direction. Okay, you can see better. And either with the head down, lassoing, or grabbing you have a piece of clothing there you can grab onto without ripping it. You're going to feel the stretch on the quad. And maybe feel the difference of lifting up, adding more back, and keeping that right leg strong. Recharging the quad, opening up. Not quite a half bow, it's like a prep for a half bow. All right. And then releasing for our full expression of Cobra, upward facing. Ready? And Bhujangasana. Inhale. Could be on the knees. It could be off the knees. We're going to add that lion's breath, shoulders down, stick out the tongue. 2 or 3 times here. Eye gaze gently up. And again. Okay, knees touch down if they were off the earth. Back to our friend, the rounded cat. And let's just stretch out. Let's have the knees wider and just stretch out into prayer pose, a humble prayer pose. We can see what happens when we walk our fingertips over to the right. We're stretching through that left side body. Left ribs expanding. A variation of our half moon with the upper body. And then walking over to the left. With the fingertips stretching to the right side. Right rib, breathing more fully, more completely. We want to rest and also tune in to feeling the divine within you and around you. Divine life is within me and all around me. Walking forward, emptying the hands. This is called lifting up off the wrist. And before we come upright, some of us may not feel comfortable sitting like this. You're welcome to sit like this or cross-legged, but this is another variation of doing a prana mudra side to side. So I purposely didn't want to do it too much sitting in the beginning. Well, we bring our hands together and then we inhale and we open up the side body. Open up and then back in, almost like a huge accordion. We'll do this a couple more times. Expanding open. Heart, front, back, and sides, ventilating. Back to the key mudra, fingertips untouched or classic namaste. Inhale again. So you could do these prana mudras whenever you have a few moments here. Feel the breath, prana, energy connection with the physical movement of the hands. Okay, it's quite lovely. And then back again. Okay, so adding those in, drawing the knees in, coming into a forward fold, uttasana, coming up. Uttanasana rather, uttasana. Just ease the hips side to side again. You may want to grab those large toes with the peace fingers. Inhale, elongate the spine. Exhale, fold deep. Navel to the spine. Again and again, releasing the things we can't control. Unnecessary tensions, worries. It's a good thing when we catch those, although it's annoying, but we're aware of that negative looping, and then we cannot be run by it with our subconscious mind. We can note it, name it, tame it, bring in the affirmation. Relax and cast aside any mental burdens. And it's important to note as we come up into Uttasana, which I said earlier, this is Uttanasana, this is Uttasana chair pose, reaching back whenever we're going for a goal, we're hitting for a higher bar there, right? It's a very common psychological phenomena that our old stuff will come and try to bring us down. Our old habits, old beliefs, reaching for that bar, and then the familiar will want to take us down. But we slice through it. We're aware of it when those limiting beliefs or habits come in. What we're doing now, we slice through it and we keep on with the goal. So don't be discouraged, it will happen. We're trying to go higher out of our habitual patterns. So those become the new bar that we're living in. All right, let's take a moment and swirl it around in our mountain pose. In standing mountain rooting. So the Prana Mudra is kind of a lot like what I think of a Tai Chi, with that energy movement with the body, so we can feel our hands rooting down, we can emulate the grounding, the rooting of the first chakra, safety, stability, earth. Really important, that cup of the first chakra and that container all the way through to the crown. And of course, energy goes way beyond that, but when we're rebalancing our energy in our physical body. And so bringing the hands together, we'll go into our more traditional Hatha Yoga flow, by the way I tend to teach it. We're going to add others to our mat here, and prayers of care. Think of 1, 2, or more people that you'd like to send healing energy to. As we inhale, we tap into the spiritual eye. We open the crown. We stretch up and add our back bend. We come forward upright and add our half moon. So our classic half moon, thumb, index finger wrapping, arcing over and bringing my feet in a little bit closer to the right. And we know this one, a wonderful affirmation, strength and courage fill my body cells. Say it out loud if you want, or silently. Strength and courage fill my body cells. You get that whole body feeling of the half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. Inhale, before we go to the other side, feel the space all around you. Interlock, open the heart center. And then come into, open the feet hip width apart into almost a chair pose, but with the interlock if you can. If not, the hands come apart. And just breathing here, a couple breaths. Deep, it's grounded, it's expansive at the same time. And then we sweep forward, cutting through those limitations that keep us from our goals, can keep us from moving forward, but don't have to. We recognize them. We come up again and keep flowing with thumb and index finger together. Feet closer in, half moon to the left. Eye gaze could gently look up. Strength and courage fill my body cells. Strength and courage fill my body cells. Feel the energy, the prana, walking with the divine within you. Whatever works for you. If you feel that visualization is next to you or within you, tapping into the crown, offering prayers of care for others, bringing them onto the mat, have the feet hip width apart, and move the blanket out of the way. And we come into our forward fold. Forward fold. Inhale, heart lifts. Elongate, the hands could be here. Whatever works for you. Bending both knees back to three-legged dog or two three-legged dog as we lift the heels high and then feel that magnet of the heart toward the thighs. Peace, calmness radiates through every cell of my body, every fiber of my being. If you can, lift the right leg up and then draw it forward. If you want to stay longer, you're welcome to stay longer. Just make it work for you. We want to just get that lift off and then coming into our Virabhadrasana 1. Extend the back foot, Well, before we come all the way, yeah, spin that back foot out to the side. And then inhale, rise up. Draw the right hip back, left hip forward. Get the foundation solid. You know this one, I'm going to do this. I cue this a lot because I love it. And reaching out, bringing our arms like you're holding. You can always use 3 5-pound weights here too. I attune my will to the source of all power. Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1. I attune my will to the source of all power. 3 pulses here. Excellent. And really deep as we release, see if we can use a strap or interlock. Lifting the heart again, and then coming forward. That right shoulder could touch the right knee, the knuckles can lift to the sky, crown of the head toward the earth. Bowing to the wisdom of the heart. Another way to walk with the divine, head and heart, feet moving away. Open to joy, kosha, wisdom, and release the hands. Rotate off that back heel. Come on top of the left knee. You can use your blanket if you want. Turn your right toe out to the side. It'll be like 2 o'clock-ish. Come up forward with the hips. Should be shake. Side to side. Side to side, deep hip opener. If you want to even go deeper, you can use a bolster or you can bring one forearm down, then the opposite. You could roll onto that little toe side of the foot. You can see, keep that knee in. Big exhales here. See where you can let go. A little more deeper, maybe the shoulders. Just meditate on the sound of the breath, sensations in the body. Both of those bring us into the present moment. We know that. And then we come up. And then as promised, we were opening the, well, let's reach back in our heart Hanumanasana, stretching through this hamstring. Try to draw that right hip bone down. See if this is accessible for you. And then we come forward. And what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can bring this right foot, okay, the right foot this, and the front. We're going to sweep it back and lift it up. Okay, so we're sweeping it back and lifting it up. And this could be the pose, or you can bring that foot behind the left knee and see if you can clasp. So we were grabbing the same arm, same leg in our prep for a half bow. That's typically done on the belly, on the ground. Now we're adding a kind of different dimension to grabbing that back foot. Maybe available to you or not. You can always do a variation. And we're going to let go. We're going to press into the base of the toes, opening up that right hamstring very dynamically. And then coming back to down dog. So treading it out. So just a little different way of playing. Try to keep it interesting as you find and cultivate the peace and calmness radiates through every cell of my body, every fiber of my being. All right, inner borders of the feet together. 3-legged dog, left leg lifts up for a moment, or not. And then the knee bends, and we step forward. maybe a couple steps as we spin the back foot, taking our time to come up to warrior one on this side. Left hip back, right hip forward. So this is the, you know, with the garden, when the sun just starts beating down, I might get lost in the shadows, but hopefully you'll still see here. Okay. We're going to add a little bit different arms here. So rooting down, rooting down, rooting down as much as you can. Rising up is called root to rise. Arms reach up to the sky. Exhale that energy above the crown of the head. We're drawing it in. I attune my will to the source of all power. You can literally do this in your Brahmacharya practice. Walking with God, Goddess, essential truth. I attune my will to the source of all power. So we invoke yoga poses that bring us, well, we're already there essentially, but we forget and we go away typically. So we have practices to bring us back. Beautiful. Reach behind you, interlock, and balancing as we come forward and strengthening as we bow to the wisdom of the heart. And lead the way every day, every moment, ideally, of every day. But like I said, most of us need. We come in, we go out, we come in until enlightenment, we're always there, we're not leaving. And then releasing and rotating, letting that light in, coming forward with the heart, coming on top of that knee. You can use a blanket for sure on your knee, and you rock side to side. And then we're turning our toes out to the 10 o'clock position, bringing that left arm in. Keep hip opener here. Use a bolster if you'd like, or bring the arms down. You can roll onto that little toe side of the left foot. Seeing where you can let go, where you can soften. Really at the back of the neck. And that's the ego jam, right? Of the medulla, the energy is just naturally pouring to the spiritual eye. The ego is just, it's kind of a habit of you used to doing everything, the doer. So we want to just soften that and allow the being, pure being, to be stronger than, you know, still active, animating the doer. Of course, we need the solar to get things done, but not just our own personal self pushing through all the stuff. That's very tiring. But we tend to be used to that. So thank goodness for the practices to return to essential self as we come back. Now we come back and we bend that knee, we bring that left knee underneath us. And the right leg lifts up. I hope I got this right. I did opposite. And the right foot comes behind and we clasp it. Wait a minute. Hold on. This is good. Yeah. Sorry about that. So to rewind the video. Make sure that you're reaching your opposite hand to opposite foot. This is where it gets tricky if you did this side or not. So if you know what you're doing, which I'm sure you do, sometimes I get lost in what I just did. So I'm going to just do both sides again, just to make sure I got it. That's the hardest part, making sure we do both sides for me. Okay. All right. And one side will be easier than the other. Maybe one more on this It's lifting the left knee if I was going to guess. Breathing in, breathing out. So doing our variation of our half bow on one knee. And then we release. And this time we pour back, we reach through the toes back to our plank. And we bring one forearm down again. Then the other. And then the knees touch, tops of the knees. The heart lifts, but then we just bow, we just stretch our arms out in front. Stretch our arms out in front, slight bend of the elbows, thumb, index finger touching. Individual self contained in the universal self. Resting and being. All right, let's do a classic half bow. So we did the earlier variation. We do the same arm, same leg, left forearm bends, but this time, and using the strap if you'd like, this time we're more warmed up, and see if we can lift that thigh off the ground. We just did an opposite arm, opposite leg just a moment ago. Recharging the central channel. This is quite intense. Recall my scattered energy to recharge my spine. So again, that's that energy of the burnout going, we know it can go in all different directions, mentally, physically, emotionally, relationally. And we're recharging to come back. Come back down. Sweep that arm forward. The left arm reaches out, left knee bends. See how we do on this side. Kick it back. Lift it up. 3 to 5 breaths. It's deep. If this is too much, go back to the earlier variation where we're stretching the quad and we're not lifting the quad off the floor. I recall my scattered energy to recharge my spine. Containing the energy, moderation, and release. Before we try both sides, come back here, engage the core, and then see if we can crisscross the legs, the ankles. This opens the knees and the hip. And then here's the one where the feet slide around. But you'll feel that in the joints again of the hips and the knees especially. And then the culmination of all these half bow poses is possibly full bow. Dhanurasana, bow pose. Okay, bend both knees, use a strap to see what happens here. And hopefully you didn't have food before you came. You really feel it on the belly. Now kick those legs back. That'll lift the heart. You can stay here or you can rock and roll. Massaging. The colon, intestines. So beneficial physically, restoring ourselves as well as mentally and emotionally, psychologically. And then rest. And then we go back. We're going to rise up and then go back into the child's pose or prayer pose. So we rise up. So all that back bend movement, now we want to do its opposite, rounded spine into either prayer or classic child is arms by your side. Let's meditate on the sound of the breath. And that prayer of humbleness, humility, quietness. After the very active back bend is very dynamic, Now we go more yin. And I'm working with rabbit pose. I've been bringing it in a couple of weeks ago. If you can, you're going to draw your knees in. Now there's a couple ways to do this. You can either hold on to the heels, tuck the chin, or onto the ground, or if you have access to the interlock, you're going to do that same movement rolling onto the back of the head as you lift off the heels. If this feels too much, go with your hands to your heels. It's a lot. And remember the affirmation on this? I am master of my body. I am master of myself. We're working with that self-mastery of balance, of containment. I'm master of my body. I'm master of myself, containing the chakra energy, balancing it, and then slowly coming down. Once the hands release, let's have the knees go a little bit wider. I know there can be a lot of compression on the internal organs. There's a point where that's good, and there's a point where we want to get more space there. Back to prayer. And tune into what your intention is, what your heartfelt desire is at this time in your life right now. Okay, rounding up, round tap, and scooping it out. Okay. Turning the toes under, hovering, and pouring back the full body stretch, downward facing dog. Now the figure 8, stay with it, and circling on the hips around. Okay. And starting to walk now, one hand and one foot at a time. Uttanasana, forward fold. Tops of the hand, have the hands at the tops of the thighs, inhale, coming up. And we're going to do a balance pose now. Okay, so coming over into our Virabhadrasana 3. Okay, so if you want to use a chair or the wall, something to guide you. So there's a chair over here. Got a bunch of stuff on, so I'm not going to move it, but you'll see I'm going to reach over toward it. Okay. All right, so let's plug in heel toe the left foot. Stretch the arms up above you, and then see where you lift off. This may be your balance pose right here. Or you can come forward, lifting that right leg higher. While I move through life, I'm anchored in my divine self. While I move through life, I'm anchored in my divine self. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathe up, don't have to stay long. Just to touch in, and you can do any balance poses. This one's too tricky for you. In fact, we could practice sliding on the next one as an option. Okay, and I'll demonstrate that in a moment. But I soar upward on wings of joy. On joy kosha. Another focus. Soar upward on wings of joy. Stabilize. So the sliding, you want to play with this. When the right foot roots down, we're bending the knees, almost like super person pose with that knee up, and then we slide to touch back. If it doesn't feel like you want to lift off into full Virabhadrasana 3, here you are in your balance. If you do slide back there a couple times. If you do want to reach up, reach the arms out in front and extend, or slide back and forth with that knee lift off will give you the balance pose. While I move through life, I'm anchored in my divine self. Brahmacharya. Shifting from overindulgence, not that excess, into moderation, and walking. The idea is when we're walking with the divine, there's a natural sacredness, a natural balance. You don't want to overindulge. Okay. Back to center. Very good. So circling around and coming down. Pretty soon we'll come to the floor. And we'll go ahead and reach the arms up. If your knees are okay to lift off the heels, we're coming down into a squat. Okay, very good. Yeah. And then we come down. Before we come on to our back, just a couple rounds of the vertical and the horizontal breathing. Prana mudra. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale. Draw the energy up, above, and then let ourselves feel our roots in the physicality of the earth. Bikini, notice the difference when the fingertips touch, point out and up. Stand back down and reach down. And notice when you put the finger, I'm going to move my feet up in front and move down. And stabilize. Stable. It's really important. And then open wide. Front, back, sides of the heart ventilating. And inhale. Prana mudra. Exhale. Beautiful. We're going to ease on down onto our backs. Let's see if there's a better way where I don't get lost. Okay. Oh, sorry. Should we shake down, low back, mid back, upper back, draw the knees in, and that opening of the hips with the inner borders of the feet together. And then go in the opposite direction. Always love the happy baby. Bring either hands on the inner arches or little toe side of the foot, calves or knees as you rock from one side and then the other, ironing up, especially your low back, but your entire spine. Noticing the mind, want to just keep dropping it into the heart, and Shavasana is on the way. Deep restoration, dying to only our ego, personality, and being held by something much greater, which is always the focus of yoga, but especially with Brahmacharya. Okay. And then maybe extend one leg, and then it's opposite. Okay. Simple twist, to tap it off, feet hip width apart, mat width apart. Let the knees drop over to the right. The left arm reaches up. above the head, really living in this lunar side. You want to draw the knee down again. And affirming divine light is within me and all around me. We could stay with this arm up, or we could let ourselves swirl like we do. And that brush stroke. And letting the head relax, the neck. Divine light is within me and all around me. Open wide through the arms, which will open wide through the heart. Engage the core. Knees come up, meaning to swivel the hips over as the knees drop to the left. Right arm comes up. Breathe here, just feeling that solar energy. Again, we need the doer, but the doer could, kind of rule the roost here without the divine flow moving the individual self. So we want the divine light, whatever that is to you, animate the individual self. The right alignment, the true alignment of yoga. Divine life is within me and all around me. Engage the core, lift the knees, adjust onto the spine, hug the knees in. Thank you, body, for all you can do, for showing up today, and for showing up in so many ways. And tuning in to see if there's one last pose you want to do as we get ready for Shavasana. You can, favorite is legs up the wall, but whatever works for you. Drink some water here. Get into your nest, into your cocoon, into warmth and safety and comfort. As we deeply restore. And that could be, well, I believe you all know the bolster underneath the back or the bolster underneath the knees. And we have a few people I don't know online. If you want, use a prop or a rolled up blanket. Or just Brahmacharya is also a lovely way to go if your hips are okay. Alrighty. In your body, it is a temple for the divine. Shade. Okay. Up. You have an eye bag. It's beautiful. Prop, blankets, whatever works for you. I'll be recording this. Okay, depending on your positioning, see if you're able to ease your head from side to side. Drawing the energy inward, really inward now. We'll go from the top down, the crown chakra. We really contain that energy in the crown, but we know it expands to the sun, the moon, the stars, the light. And we're just letting ourselves receive deeply light, wisdom, joy, softening all the micro muscles around the eyes. Let the forehead soften. With the eyelids deeply relaxed. Relaxing the upper and lower jaw. If you want to exaggerate a yawn, feel free to do that. And maybe that more audible exhalation through the mouth. And feel as a cool air comes in through both nostrils, perhaps some coolness of the spiritual eye. Hearing inner sounds, the oceanic sound of the breath. Of course, there's outer sounds. But we're moving from the outer ear canals, left and right. The inside of the cheeks, left and right. The sensation at the tip of the tongue, at the root of the tongue, the teeth, the gums, and especially at the back of the throat. Oceanic sound, ujjayi sound. Individual wave can't be separate from the ocean. Softening the shoulders left and right, away from the ears. Straight lines of pulsation through both arms. Natural bend of the elbows and wrists left and right. Pulsation, sensation in the palms of the hands, back of the hands. Digits of the fingers and thumb. If it speaks to you to bring thumb and index finger gently together in mudra, do that. Symbolic of what yoga is. Universal self, God, God is essential truth walking with the individual self. And really resting in the heart center and the joy kosha. And just allowing yourself to feel a time, maybe it was during the practice, or a time where you felt joy. Pay attention to the colors, the sounds, the smells, sensations that you notice in your body when you remember that feeling of joy. You might feel some tingling through your body or swelling in your chest. You may find that you're gently smiling inwardly or outwardly. You're feeling more open, more spacious, more alive. Letting those feelings of well-being register deeply. Breathing in and recognizing joy. How would your life change if this As your intention to recognize joy and to increasingly be aware of it throughout the day, parts of the day. Breathing into the belly, the ribs, the internal organs, the hips, the torso. Feeling sensation, pulsation through both legs, the thighs, the knees, the calves, the ankles, all the way through to the soles of the feet, digits of the toes, tops of the feet. Whatever's touching the earth, feel that deep support, and that. Let yourself rest in a quality of stability, ground, first chakra energy. And whatever area is not touching the earth, let yourself expand into spaciousness, lightness, being. Already whole, already free, already aware. Just notice if you want to return to movement now or stay in the deep state of interiorization, restoration, conserving more energy, the body temple of the divine resides and all around you. You could send healing energy to others in any position. But if you are resting on your side, then you can gradually come up and bringing the hands to the heart. Visualizing those you'd like to send healing energy to. It could be individuals, family, usually starts, and then a greater community in the world itself. Let the ah, oh, sound come through vibrationally and sound as you inhale. Ah. And bringing the hands into Namaste, acknowledging that divine consciousness within you, that divine consciousness within everyone and everything. That's where we are one. As we bow to the wisdom of our heart, letting it lead the way, practicing Brahmacharya, it's beautiful yama of yoga, the fourth one, and balancing our energy and releasing the excess. Okay, I will stop the recording, and those who want to check in,